Hello and welcome, or hello everyone, my name is Alex. I have no idea what kind of intro I should do. It was a while ago I uploaded my last video. I believe everything happened when Google took away my AdSense account, but I'm gonna do a little comeback, and I'm gonna upload Java tutorials again. Alright, so this is Photoshop. No, this is Eclipse actually. And we're gonna make a tower defense game from scratch, and I'm gonna do a tutorial of that because I know I uploaded to like episode 20 or something, or actually 12, 13 something of the tower defense series, and it seems like you guys really enjoyed it, so I'm just gonna do a full episode of the tower defense. Alright, let's begin. So the first hour probably we're gonna set up the layout. The second hour we're probably gonna do some mechanics for the fighting and how the enemies go through the whole system kind of thing. And the third and probably the last hour we are probably going to do some adding some towers and stuff like that, and then the game should be finished. So about 3 hours I'm planning on making this tutorial. So I'm going to try to do not as much talking as normally, and I'm just going to try to go on and teach you exactly what everything means, so even if you're a beginner, you should be able to understand this. So people that's like intermediate or advanced Java programmers, please just don't get angry if I'm over explaining things. It's only so that beginners can understand this tutorial. Alright, so let's start a new Java project. If you've been using Eclipse before, you should know how to start up a new project. Now, this is set as Java SE 1.6, and I don't want to use Java SE 1.6. Alright, so how would I do this? If you're having any problems with this, then what do you want to do? If you've got the JRE 7 installed, but it won't really, like, so to say, it won't really show up in the list. You just have to do configure build path. So this is a little extra tutorial. Go to libraries and add library. Now, if you want to use like JRE 6, or if you're on JRE 7 by default, then you don't have to do this. This is only for me because I installed the JRE 6 at some point, and then it didn't want to go added. So I'm just going to do this real quick. I'm basically opening up the direction for where my library is, and it's in the program 80 times 86 and in the Java JRE 7. Alright, so now once I'm here, I'm just gonna go finish. Okay, actually just missed checking that box, and I'm just gonna go default. Gonna remove the JRE 6, checking this one, click OK. Now we're on the JRE 7. Alright, might as well resize this to get everything look right. Alright, so the first class we want to create, this is how to create a class. You should also know how to create a class, but basically we're going to create a frame class that's going to show up the frame, the Java frame. We're going to use JFrame for this tutorial because I'm too lazy to do anything else. Could have just used the normal frame with canvases and stuff, but I'm too lazy, so we're gonna go with the J frame. We're gonna add a J panel onto that, and then draw onto the J panel, and yeah, that's basically it. Alright, so what we want to do now, or next, is basically, actually, I would actually like to, no, never mind. So, for the frame, we're just going to import the Java X swing. And in the Java X swing, you can basically find the J frame, the J panel, and a lot of J things. And I'm just going to import Java X swing.star, and I'm going to extend this with a J frame. So now this class is basically extended by the J frame, which basically means that this class is now a J frame. And this is also going to be our main class. So we're going to create public static void main, and this is just simple Java stuff. String args, and we're also going to create a public void init. This is for if you want to change it into an applet later, and a public void, or actually a public frame. This is the constructor. So basically how these methods are going to be called. If it's running this the first time, it's gonna go here and just gonna skip these two methods. But when we from here in a second are gonna create a new frame class object. The frame class won't call the main because the main is already called, and it will call the constructor of itself. And the constructor will later on, after doing some extra some things, call the init method. And the init method will just be called by default if if we are doing applet stuff. I just realized my headset just turned off. Anyway, um, so in this method we want to create a frame equals new frame. That means we're basically creating a new object of this class. Now this class is actually not this method. This class is only holding this method. So each time we run the game, it will just go here to the main method and we'll just check for what to do first. Then from this method, it will do other things. But the extends JFrame will just be ignored until we create a new object of this. If it's in the main, if it's a main method in here. Alright, so when it's creating a new frame, it will basically jump over to the frame class here. This is called the constructor. And the constructor, let me just show the line numbers. That's how to do that in a simple way. And the constructor is basically what it calls when you create, or the method that it calls when you create an object out of the specific class that the constructor is in. You don't need a constructor, but everything gets a lot easier if we have a constructor. Alright. So in the constructor, what we want to put is basically we want to do some changes to this. Now I actually prefer having the constructor at the top and the main method at the bottom. It's just something I've been doing for a long time. So alright. But in here we basically want to set the title and set up the JFrame because that is things that you don't have to do if it's an applet. Because if it's an applet, everything you have to do is basically just add the components onto the JApplet, which we would use then, which is just extends JApplet. I'm going to show you how to change it into an applet at the end of this tutorial. If it's not bugging, which it is sometimes for me. But public static string title. I'm basically going to create a string for the title. And why am I doing this? You might ask yourself. I'm actually creating a string for the title just to get everything so that I can see it from other classes, for example, because this is static. That means we can call it from other classes by just typing like frame, this class, dot, title, and then we can do stuff with it. Alright, so we also want to set the size. So we're going to do public static dimension, which is in the java.awt package. And the dimension is basically a dimension. It's basically like the width and the height of the rectangle, but without x and y coordinates. So the dimension we can basically use for setting sizes of our JFrame now. So I'm just going to call this size equals new dimension. And I'm probably going to go for like 500, 600. Actually, no, I think that would be good. 550 maybe. Let's go like that. So now I want to set the size. And before that, actually, set title to title. After these two, we want to set the resizability to false, and set the actually set location relative to null. And I'm just gonna go through everything what it does in a second. And set, wait a second, default close operation to JFrame dot exit and close. Alright, so we got that. We basically got that. And wait a second, I think the workspace should be on my desktop. That just makes everything a whole lot easier. So yeah, just type hello to a friend. Anyway, so basically we were setting the default close operations so that you can close the window, and after that we're basically just typing init, and it will do the stuff that if this would have been an applet, instead of calling this method, it would just call the init method. So if we want to have this an applet, basically everything we have to do is change this to japplet, and we have to remove these two methods here. All right, doesn't that sound very, very simple? Whoa, never mind. So what we want to do is, alright, just gonna explain everything. We're setting the title to the string title. Now we didn't give it a title, but let's just call this Tower Defense of Our Own. Actually, Tower Bacon Alpha. And My Little Pony? No. Swedish is the most beautiful one. Alright. So when we run this now, actually nothing should happen. But if we're just setting this visible to true, this is basically changing the visibility of the J-frame to true so that we can actually see it. We should actually get this window up. Just give me a second. Yeah, and I just did that in the wrong way. This should actually be, oh yeah, width and then height. So then we're setting the size, and we're using dimension for that, which is basically taking two parameters, the width and the height of our window. We're setting the resizability to false. We can't resize the edges here. And I'm actually going to change this to 700. Just change it to 600. Perfect. 700. 675? Oh my god. Alright, now just go for 700. Alright. But basically, we're setting the resizability to false so we can resize the window. That takes away a lot of bugs. And then we're setting the location relative to. And if we type in null here, it will basically get centered on our screen. Now this looks like for you it's just down in the corner, but I'm just recording a small area on my screen. But for you it would be somewhere around here. I'm just having a small chat window here with my kind of graphical designer, so to say, for my own games. So Swedish is the most beautiful one. We're just getting a window. All right. So before we can go on, we need to create a new class. Call this screen or window, whatever you want to do, and what we want to call it. And this is basically our screen. This is what is going to get attached to this area where we can actually draw stuff. Now it's basically just a window that haven't got anything in it. So in order to get this to work, we first need to import the Java X-Swing again, because we've got something else in here that we will need for this class, and that's a JPanel. The JPanel we can add onto JFrames, and we can basically use them. We can basically draw on them, add more components onto them. Basically, whatever we need to do. So now once this is a JPanel, I'm just going to do something quick. I'm going to do public screen, create the constructor. And as the first thing in this constructor, I'm just going to set the background to color.pink. This is just for testing purposes. Now it's going to Eclipse just imported the Java AWT by default, and that's actually where all of the graphics are. So we will need it later in order to draw on this panel. All right. So we want to first of all set the layout of this. Set layout, new grid. Layout 1100, and this is basically to get the location of it to be perfect. That basically means we want to add objects onto this whole area, so it basically just doesn't add like a small little square there. We don't want to add a small square to it. We want to add a store a big effing window. All right. That's very, very good. So screen equals new screen. Now we're basically creating a new object of the screen, and this screen extends the J panel, which means it takes everything from the J panel class and inheres it, something like that. Anyway, never mind. So it's basically extended by the J panel, which means it's pretty much the same as the J panel. It's basically the same thing, and we're basically creating an object of that, and then we're just typing add screen. And all these things, instead of like typing like frame.setTitle and all that good stuff, we can just type set title. Or if you if you just want to be stupid, you can type this.setTitle, but that would just take a lot more time. So we can actually do that because this class is extended by the JFrame, so all of these methods are actually in this class. Just that we can't see them. We could actually change the public void set size, and we could just type int dimension dim. I'm just going to show you what extends basically means. Now we're actually overwriting this method. Now the set size here, if I would type s here, it would just get an error because we need a dimension to type in, because we've been typing in that do this. And we could do system out of print ln, just be very, very silly, and just type hello instead, and just do that. And it should give us hello instead of setting the size of the window actually. Now we just want this method to be as it is, but that's just a small little tip if you want to change stuff around from these extended classes at any point. But as you can see, we successfully added the screen, the screen class, and our window is pink. Now that looks very, very stupid, but it's a very, very good start. It's a very good start. And this game is going to be a little bit pixely as well, at least from my main idea of this. So we're going to try to make this a little bit pixely. I'm just going to give you a few tips on how to make like pixel games overall. Alright, so we've got like 40 more minutes just to set up the layout. So I'm going to do public void paint component, because now everything will be run from this screen class. Now we don't need to care about this unless we want to like change the title here or something. So oh yeah, my headset just turned off again. So public void paint component graphics G. So, and this method is actually already in the screen class, but in order to change it, we need to like overwrite it, so to say, because if this wouldn't have been extending this example, we wouldn't overwrite that. You can see this little green thing just disappears. Alright, sorry, just chatting to a friend, graphical designer. All these stupid sounds. Oh my god. Never mind. So this is basically the draw method. This is where we can draw all things in Java. I should actually have gotten myself a glass of water or something. But now I haven't, unfortunately, so we're just gonna keep going. So and this method is taking a graphics G object. So we're just putting that in, and it will basically do it by default anyway each time we type in repaint, because this method will just be called by default from the J panel. So whenever we kind of create the J panel, it will just be called. Alrighty then. So we also need one more thing, and that's actually to implement this method. Implement the runnable. What is the runnable, you might ask? I've only had this for one of my tutorials before, and that was the 2D platformer kind of thing. Well, the runnable is basically a thread, so to say. This runnable makes this class a thread. That means it needs to have a public void run method. In the run method, we're going to do a while true. I'm just going to do that before explaining what it actually does. And this is actually where from where if we create a thread, it will just run from here. I believe it would run twice, or yeah, it wouldn't do the while true in here. This is actually game loop. You might know what a game loop is. A game loop is basically like it's a loop handling all of this stuff for like speeds of the characters, how they walk around, how characters do everything. Now I've forgotten how to do this in the best way, but I'm gonna do my best to create a working game loop. But while true, just try that first. Type in system out.println just to test it. Type hello or something, and then we actually need to use it or to kind of create a thread of it. And we're gonna do it like this: public thread, or just maybe we're gonna call it game loop or something like that. But I'm just gonna call it thread, maybe main or something. Equals new thread, and this. That means we're basically creating a new thread of ourselves. And then from the screen method, we're just going doing thread.start. That will basically start the thread. That means the thread is now running. So when we run this program now, well, what should happen is it should just give us infinite of hellos. Um, all right. And but we don't want it to like call this every like 0.01 milliseconds. That would crash some computers. That would just be stupid. All right. So basically, what we would like to do is to make this game loop better. Now, I'm not going to be able to calculate how each second would look, but I'm able to create a pretty strong and working game loop. Now, one thing to remember, you should never use your paint component as a game loop and just do repaint at the end of it. That's a Java rule number one. Never do a game loop out of the paint component. That's just stupid. Use the run method for all that stuff. Alright, so this is tower defense tutorial still, I think. So, in the paint component here, we actually don't want to do anything right now, but each time this goes, we're just going to do a repaint. And we're actually going to test something out. We're going to do public static int FPS. Actually, yeah, FPS frame equals 0, and then FPS equals, I think this is gonna be equal to like 100,000. I have no idea. 1 million maybe, 1 billion. I have no idea. But because this is basically going a lot of times. So all we want to do is if FPS frame is greater than or equal to FPS. Actually, a stronger way would just be to do at the end of this thread.sleep 1 millisecond. And this needs to be surrounded by try and catch. Yeah, we're just gonna do it this way. I'm too lazy to try this out with like time stuff. It's because I'm probably gonna epically fail. But the repaint will be done just at the end of this. Alright, I need to get myself a glass of water. So, yeah, lucky I am on my wireless headset. And I'm just gonna grab a glass of water. Alright, that seems cold enough. I get some fruit concentrate stuff. Or actually, fruit concentrate. Never mind. Now I don't have any more of it. Cool. Alright, anyway. So, the next thing to do is to create a screen and draw onto the screen. And we basically want to create something called a room, and that's what is going to load up all different things we create, all different levels we create for this. I'm also going to learn you some about saving and loading. to actually create our awesome levels just from basic ones and zeros and different materials. So we can edit our levels. And I'm actually going to do public. Whoa. Public room, I just can't speak after like been running around in my house. That's just stupid. Let's just calm down. Alright. So, actually gonna save it all. And something that's very important is that actually, before we do anything else, do the g.clear rect or 0, 0, get width, and this is getting the width from the J panel, and get height. Alright, but even before that, we do that, we're gonna create a boolean, public static boolean is first equals true. What the F? Just thought of a boss. A giant guinea pig. XD? Alright. Never mind. Just chatting to a friend. So, basically, if is first, if we basically want to define this from the paint component method, just to get everything, all sizes correct. If is first, then we're going to have two integers as well. So, public void, sorry, public static int my width and my height. Now, the differences between the frame and the screen is that the frame, when it basically calculates, as you can see here, the frame basically goes calculates. Wait a second. What the f? The screen will basically the screen will have its own size. The screen will basically have these borders as well with itself, and the rest will basically be all those and these small. And that's basically the window all the way to the outside. The J panel is only in this area here. So if this the first time running, just gonna go to if first equals false, and it's also gonna be calling the define method. Now the define method is a method we're gonna create. It's gonna define images. It's gonna define all different methods that we have. For example, it's gonna define the room in a second, and it's just gonna define everything. It's not defining the thread because it can just be running forever. But the thread will only do stuff if is first is equal to false. So, for example, if we're having a real room.physics thing, a little physics for the room, it's not gonna bug. It's gonna bug if we're not defining it first. So. Random headset turning off again. We're basically gonna have to define it. So we're basically defining it right here in the run method, or we're defining it in from the paint component method. Just something I've done for a very long while now, and it's always working. And the room method is basically gonna be all blocks on the ground, and it's probably only gonna be all blocks on the ground. Maybe, yeah, I might as well add the bars to it, like all shopping bars and such. We'll see that in a second. But I might actually have links to it. Just I might just do it that way. All right, but basically, this is the plan, kind of. We're basically gonna create a room where all the blocks are gonna be located. We're gonna make this like a block thing. They just walk on blocks basically, and then the enemies just go through. You place down towers. There are gonna be like, I'm gonna create at least like 2 levels and just show you how to add more levels onto it. So I'm just showing you all of the physics basically, how the physics are gonna work. So yeah, that's that. Anyway, what we want to do next is actually remove these two because we don't really need them anymore. But in the room here, we basically actually yeah, and I didn't tell you what the clear rect did. The clear rect is basically just drawing out a blank space here on the screen, so that we just clear the screen after doing a lot of random things. But we're actually gonna start doing some things now. We're gonna do room, actually public static room, just so we can access it from other classes. It's gonna be public static, not a private static. That would have meant we can't access it either. So public static room equals new room. Alright. But now it can't equal the new room yet because we might need to do some extra stuff. So we're gonna do it from here. Room equals new room. And in the room class there will also be a draw method. Public void draw. That will be called from the screen with the screen's graphical or graphics object, so that this class can actually draw on the screen as well. And we need to import the Java AWT in order to use the graphics again. So we're just going to do that. All right. So now to the next part. We've been defining all of the objects. Now we need to draw things onto the screen as well. So we got the room dot draw g. Alright, so just drawing the room, add a little comment to that. You can just comment everything as I explained for you, just to remember everything. Because I might be going on quite fast, and it might be good for you to just comment and learn what everything does. And this class will actually not extend anything, but we're going to create another class called block. And this block, now the room should be added onto the screen, by the way, just so that you know. Yeah, it should. And also in here we're going to do room.physics. Now we haven't created this method yet, but that's actually for all the physics in this method. So public void physics. Alright. In the block is actually going to extend the rectangle. Now the rectangle, I've got a few different things, and it's actually in the Java AWT. We can actually draw with the rectangle, for example. Just draw it basically onto the screen. And the rectangle, what it basically is kind of a rectangle, or what the F? It's basically it holds the x, y, width, and height value, and we can just use it for drawing purposes in a very, very simple way. This is basically going to hold a public int id, and also the public block method is going to take an int x, int y, int width, and int height. And the first thing, this is going to be constructors. This is what gets called when we're going to create it now in the room. So what it's going to do is set the bounds of itself to x, y, width, and height. And if we want to access this method's real integers, we will need to do this.x, this.y. So basically we want to access the real x, and not the x that's actually put in here. We can just type this. That means this method's x. This method's x? What the F? Alright, so we also want to have a draw method in here. We want to have graphics g. So we can just draw this basically on the screen. We'll soon need to create some images for this game, and we're basically going to create a tower sprite sheet and a ground sprite sheet. And in the tower sprite sheet, we're also gonna have some trees and some basic stuff like that. So basically, what we want to do now is we basically want to do this. That we want to this. What the F? We basically. What's going on? We basically want to draw this onto the screen in a second, but just for now, just check if this works. G.draw draw rect x, y, width, and height. Alright, so we're going to try to draw this onto the screen. Now, first of all, we need to define this. And the way to do this is actually, we also want to do this int id, and this dot id equals id. This is basically setting the ID number, what the ID is, and the ID is basically for knowing what kind of thing it is. If it's a grass block, sand block, oh my god, new enemy, someone just says. And we're just gonna run over. I'm just gonna run over to the room here and basically create an array of blocks. And we're gonna have a public int world size, and it's gonna be equal to block. Wait a second. This green troll thing with 4 legs, it chases you and blows up. What the F? The world size is basically going to be equal to, or the world width. This is basically how big the block array is going to be when we draw it and stuff like that. The world width is probably going to be like 10, and the public int world height is probably going to be like 6 or something. And then we also need the block size, int block size, how big a block should be. Maybe it should be 32 by times 32. So in the room here, we're just going to call a define method. I just like having everything organized, so I'm just going to create a new method called public void define just to make everything easier for ourselves. And in this method, we basically want to do 2 for loops. Now I want to use y and x. Y is less than world width. Actually, we're going to, you know what? And it should actually have been world height anyway. But we're basically going to do public block a multiple array equals new block. We can just do that in a second. Just gonna call this like block. And just to make everything easier, each one of these is gonna hold both the ground ID and public int air ID. So we don't have to do any more methods for this basically. Equals ground ID. This dot air ID equals air ID. Alright then. And type xd to friend. And then basically in the room here, we basically want to do y is less than block dot length y plus plus. Now we actually didn't define the block, so we don't know how long it is. But we're just gonna do it here. Block equals new block, and it's gonna be world height. I think world width times world height. I might need to change that later. We'll see. And also for int x is 0, x is less than block 0 dot length x plus plus. So now we're basically going through the entire block array. I'm trying a troll though. I need to type awesome. Awesome. Alright, so in this, each one this time this goes, I'm just gonna do, actually before we do this, we're just gonna copy it for the drawing of the block. Because right here we basically want to draw the block as well, because we've already got a block draw method. So probably to just do that and draw, and we're drawing the block. And yeah, alright. So each time this goes, now we're already drawing it, but the first time it goes here, it's just gonna get defined. So we're gonna define this thing. and we're going to define it like block y x equals new block. Now our constructor in this class takes a few parameters, and we need to fill all of these in order to get this to work from the room class. So we want to type in the x coordinate, which is going to be x times block size, the y coordinate, which is going to be y times block size, and we're going to go block size for the width and height. And then we've got two more parameters. We've got our parameters, and we've got the ground ID, which we want to set to 0, and the other one, which we're also going to set to 0. Whenever we draw this now, this should give us this as a result. Now I can note that I've been setting these on the wrong coordinates, so world height it should be, and world width. Alright, whenever we run it, we get this little grid here. Now I want the spaces to be like even bigger, so let's go 64 times 64. And that, yeah, that's kind of difficult. I think it's a little bit too large now. 52 maybe? Yeah, that actually makes quite good sense. I'm just gonna extend these and then mess around with the size for this window. So 11, 12, 9, 10, 12, 11, 12, 9, and we just want this to be centered lined, or yeah, in order to do that we should be able to just do wait a second, if we add this to brackets, and in this one we just do, and then minus, no, we just want to do basically world width times block size divided by 2 minus oh wait, oh wait, oh wait, oh wait, it can be screen dot my width divided by 2 minus half of that size plus this. Now that didn't make any sense at all. Oh my god. I still want this to be in the middle. Oh, the my width didn't get defined properly. Alright. Yeah, we didn't define them. So that means my width is gonna be get width, and my height is gonna be get height. Then define. Alright, that should do that. So whenever we run this now, this should be in the middle. Perfect. Actually looks like, yeah, it looks very good. Looks like it's in the middle. So basically, we might actually remove these squares as well, just to make it easier for us. And world height will only be 8. So 8 times 12. The enemies will walk through here, just pass through in a little level. Alright. So what we want to do next is basically we're just going to do this the lazy way, so to say. the lazy way for the win. Lazy way for the win. Before I do anything else, I'm actually gonna do some basic textures for these ones, or for these things. And now I gave it 0, 0 for the values. Actually, we're gonna create a class called value where we're gonna hold all our values. For example, public static int block grass equals 0. Now we're gonna call this ground grass because we're also gonna have air stuff. So public static int air. All the towers is gonna be on this layer, but air basically. This is just air, and it's gonna be -1. So from the room, basically want to do value dot ground grass and value dot air. All right, that should just go to 0 or -1, and if air ID is not equal to value dot air, so if it's not equal to air, it will draw its image. Now we don't have the images yet, but that's what we're going to create right now. So just open up Photoshop, and before actually doing anything in Photoshop, we want to, from this client, go new folder, call this res for like resource or something, and in here we're going to have all of our basically images and music files, so we want to do some music to it later on, and we just have everything, every single little thing in here. So in order to do that, or in order to do anything out of it, I want to do new. Now remember, we want to have this a little bit pixely, and one square here was 52 pixels. In order to get this a little bit pixely, we want to have the size set to 26. 26 times 2 is 52. We just want to make it half the size and then resize it from Java. Do new, remember we're going to go for 26. If you're getting lost, which I'm not going to kind of get right now, because it's just going to be a simple thing, we're just going to go with 26 or 2600. That means we're going to get 100 different squares. You can just use your calculator if you're bad at the mathematics. It's not cheating. You just search for calculator or something in your little start menu down here. You can see right at the top of it. All right. Hit OK, and it should create a new window here. Now Photoshop creates a little locked layer for me. Just going to delete it. And if you're not a good graphical designer, I highly recommend you to I will probably make a few tutorials of graphics designing later. But now just keep everything simple, simplistic. We basically want to do this as all the easy way. We're just gonna take a color, we're gonna draw something, basically fill it, and then maybe add a few small touches to it. This tutorial is not for graphical designing, so I'm gonna do my best not to do too much graphics in this tutorial, which I'm kind of bad at because I want everything to look perfect, like a little OCD like that. Everything in my life must, or not like in my life, just everything I do I want to be perfect. It's like the same in Minecraft and all these kind of games. Everything needs to be perfect, else I'm just suiciding. In Java I don't really care if it gets perfect because I just hire a graphical designer and then everything's good. Yeah, that's how it is. But I'm basically creating a grass block here. Now this is looking really ugly, but just to give us something that doesn't look like, at least like not too bad for the thing that we're actually doing right now. So I'm just dragging my brush tool like small times, just get this colored in a nice way. And it seems like it's kind of succeeding. Basically going to drag around the entire place here and just go like that. Boop 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 boop. Alright, we've got a grass block, kind of. And now remember that we're gonna have to save this as well. Of course. But we're actually gonna have to create another thing as well. We're gonna have to create the air layer as well, just so that we have it imported. It's gonna be exactly the same size, basically the same thing. On this layer, we're not gonna have like grass and stuff like that. I'm not gonna do any changes to it right as of now, but just gonna have it right there. So we've got a grass block. That's kind of cool. We want to save this to actually go to Alex desktop. I save this as YouTube Tower Defense in the client and the res. In this res, we just want to save this to probably we want to save it to tileset underscore ground.png. I'm saving it, okay, and we're going to do the same thing with this one. And let's call this tileset air.png. Not the PNG will just go by default. Now we actually have them. Now we need to import them to Java via tilesets. And I like having the image loading in the same method as I told you before, in the define method here. So, but first we need to basically get the images. So we're gonna do public static image, and we're gonna call this tileset ground, just like we did there, equals new image, and it was 100 images we did. Public static image tileset underscore air equals new image 100. And these are the same kind. This is why I'm actually placing them at the side of each other. I'm normally having integers, booleans, and different classes imported in different areas so I can just find them more easily. But in order to actually do this, we first need a for loop. Just gonna go with I because that's basically what I'm doing. I've been using that for basically 5 years now. It's I if I don't get like any coordinates to use. So tileset ground dot length I plus plus wait I plus plus tileset ground equals new basic tileset ground I equals new image, or wait a second, equals new image icon. Are we basically importing this from the image icon from the res tileset ground.png dot get image? We're basically getting the image via an image icon. Then we're doing tileset underscore ground I equals create image new filtered image source, and it's going to take two different objects. It's going to take the tileset underscore ground I and or dot get source, and also the new crop image filter. And the crop image filter is basically gonna be, it's basically how we cut the images. So for example, alright, so basically how to do this is we want to do I for the, actually 0 for the x coordinate, because this is basically just, this scheme is just like going down, and we basically want to import this part of it. Now the image is 26 times 26. That means we can go with 0 there, we can go with 26 times I here, and we can go with 26 and 26 for the width and height. And we also need to import the Java awt.image, import Java awt.image. So what we basically did was we basically imported the image. We're creating a new image out of that image. We did this filtered image source. We were basically getting the source of the image, and then we were cropping it. As you can see, we were cropping the image. Yeah, that's basically what we did. So yeah, that's basically that. Now, what we want to do next? What do we want to do next? I have no idea. But what we want to do next is probably, yeah, we also want to do the same thing but with the other one, the tileset air. Now I want to do a new for loop for this, for if we want to change the length of only this and not the ground one. So we got the tileset air, tileset air, tileset air, same thing here, and just tileset air, and now everything is working. Alright. So now from the block, we basically want to draw respective images. In order to draw an image in the first place, we just do g.draw, not draw image, and we want to do screen. I hope I set this to those are static. Yeah, that means we can access them. Screen dot tileset ground ID. And we want to print out x, y, width, and height, the coordinates, just null. This is basically printing out an image. And if this works for you, this should give you this result. Now we got, oh, there's a little black spot right there. Just gonna run in the image and fix it, correct it. But that's basically how it works. We can easily go in here and edit the images. Now, yeah, I see that's a lot darker. Alright, there we go. That should look a little bit better. Just do file save, tileset ground. And you should be able to run it again. No, it's not updated. Maybe it is. Can't be that dark. Someone is whistling outside. Alright. Just thought there was a guy climbing up on a balcony. I was like, what the F? So when I say this as the tileset ground, do that. Just minimize that. Whenever we run this now, we should... Never mind, let's just skip that and keep it as that for now. Just because I'm lazy. So we've got the grass images. And I'm actually going to send this over to a friend and just do... Oh, that didn't work out. Print screen. What the F? My screen doesn't want to print. Print screen. Oh my god, it doesn't work! What the F? Alright, never mind then. God damn it. Alright, anyway. So we got the basic layout of this. We can actually refresh this folder here just to see what's actually in it. And we got the air is not equal to value.air. And if this is the case, we just want to draw this as well, but with the air. In this case, it's actually air anyway. Air ID actually. ID. And save it, run it, but now we don't have anything on the air layer yet, so we don't really have to care. Alright. So now we basically want to do a new Java class. And wait a second, do we? Yeah, we do. And we're gonna call this save. This is gonna load up and save files because we're gonna do some save loading and stuff like that, just to create a quick world ourselves. And we're also gonna create a new folder. We're gonna call it save. Alright. In the save, we're gonna create a new file. The file is gonna be named probably mission 1 dot. You can create your own file type if you'd like to. Rave dot Alex dot Ulixava, mission 1 dot Ulixava. There we go. And in this one we can, no, this is not a coding file. So, but in this one we're actually gonna load up stuff. We're actually gonna load up different things to the game from here. So we're gonna do a method for loading things up. Public void load load world. Actually, load save. And it's just gonna take a file path, file load, or file load path, and the path of the file is located under the, I believe, the java.io. Yep, it is. Perfect. So what we want to do if we're gonna load up a save file is I actually want to set it to actually load something up real quick. So when if is first here at the end of the define method here, we actually want to do need to create the file first. So public static save save. So we can use the save. We basically want to do first we want to define it up here. Save equals new save. And did you know that the save doesn't have a constructor? Maybe you did, because we don't need it to constructor. There's actually nothing outside these things to define, so we're just going to do everything from here. We're going to want to do save.load save, and now new file for a file path. And we actually want to do import java.io just to be being able to use files. So new file and then the path in here, and the path is going to be save, and it's going to be mission1.ulixava. Now we're basically loading that file up that we created before, and that's the file is going to be you basically do the file. We will need to import the java.util in order to get access to the scanner. That's what you need in order to load a file. And in order to load this file, we've been recording for 1 hour, cool. The layout isn't set up yet. But in order to load a file, we will need to do different things. In order to load a file, for example, we will need to. In order to load a file, we will need to. In order to load a file, we'll need to create a new scanner. Scanner load scanner equals new scanner, and it's gonna take the load path in here, and we're gonna of course try catch exception E. And that's my headset dying again. But we basically got the load scanner here, and we don't have to do anything if we catch an exception. We're not going to catch any exceptions, hopefully. But in here we want to do while load scanner dot has next. First we want to do a for loop int I equals 0, I is 0, I is less than y equals 0, y is less than screen dot room dot block dot length y plus plus. Then we want to copy this, but we want to do x's for these instead, and this one is going to be changed to a 0 here to get the other angle for this, and this is going to happen twice. So in order to use this now, alright, in order to use this now, we will need to do specific things. Yeah. We will basically need to do room dot alright, come on. Screen dot room dot block yx equals load scanner dot next int. Now actually dot ground ID, and basically pretty much the same thing here. God damn it! Basically the same thing here, but with the air ID. So now this will start to give us a lot of errors if we don't do. Wait, I'm just gonna close these. Actually, never mind. Yeah, I might as well close it. Load scanner dot close. But all we want to do after, if we don't have the right amount of blocks to the x and y, basically we don't have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 12 times something. I guess we type that in into the room here. Yeah, 12 times 8. It will start to bug. So I will have to do 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. That's 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 again. And then we need to do this 5, 6, 7, 8. I believe I did 8 there. Yeah, I did 8 for the world height. So this is basically a part of the world. And then we got this one. Control F. If it seems this is 0, I'm gonna change it to -1 instead. Now I want a little bit more spacey. I want to see what actually goes on because right now I just can't see what goes on. So I just want everything to have the same size if I would type in a -1 here too. I think I could have just done this actually. Control F, if it sees a blank space, we'll change it to blank spaces. Yeah, that worked. Alright, so whenever we would run this now, it should just load up a world that looks like this. But if we actually start changing things in here, look at that. That block is gone because we don't have an ID for that. But the IDs are basically going to be, we've got the grass block. And now we want, let's just be lazy about this. Actually, no. Now we want something else. We maybe want to sort of like rock kind of looking block. And in order to do that, we just zoom in. We do a few changes to this. Now this is what I call laziness. You can just see that this is gonna look even worse than the first one that I did. I just don't. I want code more. Oh, F that. Go in there again. Because I just want to code. This is what this tutorial is for. It's for coding. Not image editing. So in a second, this is gonna be some sort of like rock. Some sort of like rock thing. This is where the monsters are gonna walk, by the way. So they're basically going to walk over. They're basically going to walk over these blocks. I might actually do this into a two-part episode. I might need to stop this actually. Need to do some other things as well. No, but I will record both of them today anyway. Upload them as well. Let's say we just want this to be looking like this or something. New layer. I'm a perfectionist, so I want everything to be perfect. Shouldn't that be the right size at least? No, it's not because it's doubled. And we can do that down there. Alright, that should do that. Alright, kind of. And then we're just gonna go down like this. Do a little bit of this just to give it a little extra effect. Like that. And we want to add a small little thing, small things, last effect. Going by these like pillar looking things. Just like that. Alright. We want to do file, save. We want to save this in the exactly the same way again. Tells it ground. Okay, save it. And now we basically, when we have this here now, it will actually give us a rock block. Isn't that cool like that? And now in the value class here, we also want to add this public static int ground rock. Actually ground road equals 1, so this is the road where they will walk in all times. So where should we start the road? Should we start it there? Actually, I'm gonna start it one more up. Actually, even one more actually. So we want to do the road to go down like this maybe. So maybe we want it to go like this. Maybe go back a little. Or a little. It's just gone back a very long way. But we want it to maybe go down like this. And end right there. Now we've got the little road here. As you can see, we've got a little road like going over the screen like this. And yeah, we basically got a little road. That's kind of cool. Now once the saving and loading is done, we can just create more missions and stuff like that, and we can just keep going. But what we want to do now is actually add a small shop to this game. When I add a small shop, how will we add a shop, you might think? You might ask yourself. I'm actually going to create a new class called store. And inside the store class, we're going to do public void, or just public store. Public void define. And this is still going to define the things, and we're also going to have a draw method, public void draw graphics g. We're also going to create a new class called keyHandle. Now you might think it's key handler or something like that, but I've been going with key handler my whole life, and I believe it was a spelling error a few years ago I did, and then it just got you key handle instead. But I've been calling it key handle for a long while. And the key handle is actually going to give us the mouse position, so that as quick as we get the store up and running, we can just like check so that things just light up when we put our mouse over, or when we click, we can pick up objects and close or remove them and stuff like that. So in order to do this now, we're gonna have to do we're gonna have to do what? We are gonna need to do some random things. Wait, store. Yeah, we want to import java.aut or java.awt, and we're gonna jump over to the key handle. And everything in key handle classes, for example, we need to import the java awt.event. And we basically want to implement this method with mouse motion listener and mouse listener, not moose listener, and we're just gonna just spelled that wrong. Listener. There we go. And then Eclipse has a little shortcut. We can just import all the methods that these methods are holding, and we're probably not gonna need all of them. We could just import the adapters for them if we wouldn't like all of them. For example, I'm gonna go for mouse adapter here, and I'm gonna remove mouse released and mouse exited, mouse entered, mouse clicked. Alright, mouse adapter. Oh, yeah, it can't be a super interface. Alright, that's something I didn't know actually. Cool. Alright, anyway, I'm just gonna change the arguments to E here. Gonna save it all, and as quick as this is finished, in the mouse or in the screen first, we want a point for where the mouse actually is located. So we're gonna do public static point MSE equals new point at 0, 0. This is basically just the x and y. The dimension is width and height, and the point is x and y. And we already got the Java AWT, so we can just import the point or do the point straight away. And now from the key handle, we will need the import Java AWT as well, just so we can use the point here, because each time the mouse has moved or is dragged, we want to do the same thing. We basically want to set the point position. We're going to start at the mouse moved. In order to get the perfect mouse position, if you're using a JFrame, it will just automatically add all these random borders. So in order to fix that, we are basically going to do point. Wait a second. We basically want to do screen dot MSE equals new point, and in here we're going to do e dot get x and e dot get y. All right, but the e dot get x and e dot get y is only going to be going to count these borders and all this bad stuff as well. It's just going to be very wrong. Now the coordinates for these one isn't working properly from my things. I'm just gonna do that. Close them in, and then I'm gonna do minus your cell. What the f? Never mind. Basically minus. I think there's like a plus or minus at the end of this get x, so everything just gets pretty messed up when you're getting this. But e.get x is we're basically gonna get rid of, actually add a little, I believe. Yeah, we're gonna add a little, and what we're gonna add is frame dot size dot width. Wait, minus. Might as well close these in again, whatever you want to call it. Minus screen dot my width divided by 2, and this should actually get the right x position. Now it's just the y position left. In order to get the y position, we basically want to do plus. Alright, this is going to be a difficult one. No, it's actually not. It's going to be frame dot size dot height minus minus this one. Right, it's screen dot my height. Yeah, there we go. And then it's going to be minus this one. Yeah, that should actually do that. So the mouse positions should be sorted out. Hope you understood that, right? We just want to do this, and we want to change it to over here. Now, I do really like graphics, so for each thing I'm going to create a new graphic. But first of all, I want to get the exact positions that I'm actually going to use. All right, so let's say each one of these episodes is going to be 2 hours. Going to be like part 2, 102, part 202, and actually in the store here, we basically want to create some buttons. Now, these buttons are basically going to be rectangles, so do public rectangle button equals new. Now this is going to be an array, so we can do this rather easy. Equals new rectangle, and we're going to do 20 of them or something like that. I don't know. Public static int shop width is equals maybe 8 different things you can buy. That we can maybe do some more lists and stuff. So shop width. Now these rectangles are basically going to be the squares that represents these different things. So I know I've already been explaining the rectangle. That's why I'm basically not explaining very much or many things right now. I'm basically just helping you with the positions of everything and stuff like that. But I'm just gonna make it easy for us. I'm already gonna import this. I'm gonna do public static store. This is gonna be the shop, and then store equals new store. And we also want to draw the store. So store.draw. Just drawing the store. Kind of simple. Just one add comments there. Always done, so I'm still doing it. So I'm just gonna jump over to the store here, and in this store method, I'm actually going to in the define method here, I'm gonna do a for loop for this, just to define everything at the same time. So I'm gonna do button.length I++, and I want to do button equals new rectangle, and then I'm going to set the positions of this rectangle. So actually button I, because we've got many buttons. So how do I want to set this? First of all, basically, I want to do screen dot my width divided by 2 minus, I want a button size as well. Public static int button size, maybe equal to 32 or something. Actually, I think I'm gonna go with the same button size as we've got the blocks in our blocks, bar block things. Yeah. Anyway, but we're basically interesting. My finger just got blue. No, I'm just kidding. I didn't even. It wasn't even a joke. Come on. Come on, Alex. Code. All right, I'm gonna code. So we're gonna do shop width times button size, and we're gonna take these two, and we're gonna take them divided by 2. All right. We're gonna put these at 10, the 10th coordinate, just to see if this actually works in the beginning. We're gonna do button size, button size. All right. Hope that works for you. All right. Then we're gonna do g.fill rect. We're gonna do button i.x. Now I don't have an array for it, or a for loop for it, so I'm just gonna steal this for loop just because I'm lazy, and everything goes faster if you're lazy. I'm basically just taking the width and the height and I'm drawing out a rectangle of it. So this rectangle, now when I run this, we're basically gonna get rectangles. That's the starting position. We also need to do plus button size times I. Now they are very, very close to each other, so I'm also going to create another variable here, and I'm going to do public static int cell space, and this is actually the space between these different cells. So I'm going to do for each one of these button sizes, I'm going to do plus cell space just to get it a lot easier. So it's going to be under this button size as well, plus cell space. That should give us a little space between these cells, and this is definitely in the middle. This is definitely well done. So the button size should be like 52 as well. Alright, but these are gonna go down here in the shop actually. So in order to do that, in order to get them to get the exactly or get perfectly centered aligned with the shop, and this does probably in case mean we can do some resizing to this game as well, just by updating all different things. Actually, they should just draw themselves correct by default if we just do, yeah, we've called it define. Yeah, I'm just thinking. But these are the Y position for these is not going to be 10, of course not. It's actually going to be screen dot room dot block 0 x, and then the y block. What should the y block be? What should the y block be? How did I build these up? World height and within world width. That means that the first one is the world height. So screen dot room dot world height 0 y. Errors for the win. Did I define the blocks before actually doing anything? I might have not defined them, or yeah, I did define them. Yeah, maybe -1. Yeah, alright, so now we got them at that position. So we basically want to do that, and we want to take that, take this plus plus screen dot room dot block size, and I want to do plus cell space between the different cells. Yeah, I might as well just do like plus polystatic int away from game, or away from room equals maybe 20. Then we can just do plus away from room. So the space away from the room window here. And that doesn't seem that good. We should just go with like 27, something like that. Alright, I think that's kind of cool. 29 maybe. To get this perfect. Yep, that seems very, very good actually. And if we now then want to start adding some more things, we should just start doing that now. I'm actually gonna add a little background to this, though we don't have to use this boring background. And in order to do that, at first we just wanna draw it right on this blank thing. Instead of using the clear rect, we can just do fill rect, and we can set a color before that. So g.set color new color, and we want to set it to, if we want our background to be black, then we do in the color here, when we're creating a new color, it takes three parameters: the red, green, and the blue. This is actually RGB colors that Java is using. It just takes three different parameters that we just type in there, and now we should have a black background. Um, but as you might have noted, the rest just disappeared as well. And we also have a few more modifications we want to do to the background to make it look perfect. We're not going to make it in Photoshop because that just takes a lot more time. We're going to try to keep this the easy way. I want these to be like 50, 50, and 50. Alright. And then I want us to draw a little outline here as well. How will we draw this outline, you might think? We are going to use lines. So g.draw line. Now this can't be underneath the g.fill rect. g.draw line. And the lines actually take the first x coordinate, the first y coordinate, the second x coordinate, the second y coordinate. And this should take the room.x, no, room.block 0, 0.x minus 1, and this should take the, or this should just start at 0. This should be the same, and this should go down to the room.block, no, dot world height minus 1, I think. And then when we run this, now we should change this color to set color, new color to black color, 0, 0, 0. We're just gonna do now that did only show up a little bit, a little part of it. So what we want to do is, I think, the y coordinate. Oh yeah, we never. This one should. Yeah, y. I typed x instead. That means it should go down there. Actually, you know what? It should be plus. No, plus room dot block size. Yeah, there we go. Block size, and actually also plus 1. Then it just goes minus 1. That minus 1 should just disappear. And going down a hole or something. It should actually by default then go be perfect. It should go 1 underneath. Yeah, perfect. So I'm just trying to give it a little like toonish style as well. We want this game to look perfect, you know, so giving this a little toony toon style. Toony toon style, what the F? This is just going like disappearing up here. You can maybe add a little line up here too if you'd like to. Just gonna keep this and have the money up here as well anyway. So yeah. Alright. Let's say the first tutorial will be for setting up the layout. The second tutorial will just be for the mechanics. Maybe 2 to 3 tutorials of this actually. I were thinking of recording the full tutorial this time, but I'm just gonna be too lazy in a few minutes. I'm just gonna be very, very tired. So drawing the left line, drawing the right line. We're drawing the left and the right line, and each time we do this, or when we're changing this, you want to change the x to be room dot world width minus 1, but it's anyway it's going to be room dot blocks plus room dot block size, and it's not going to be minus 1, else everything should be the same. Yep, that gives us a perfect little toony line as well. and then just draw the last line. I'm just gonna do this manually. G.draw line is gonna be on room.block. It's gonna be room.world height -1 plus room.block size. I think actually room.block. This starts at 0, 0.x. And room.block plus, oh yeah, dot y. And after this one, I'm just gonna do this, and then gonna be this one, but so that it's gonna be room dot world width -1 dot x plus room dot block size. Drawing the bottom line. There we go. Alright, so whenever we run this now, we should get a line at the bottom as well, and we do. It looks perfect. I think this looks very, very, very great actually. So the lines should be black. This color might actually be changed a little. I maybe want it a little bit lighter. We might as well make a background instead, background image. But for now, we're just gonna go for this, and maybe we can make some sort of black background stone later on, just background rock tiles. Like, I'm just gonna show you how to do that as well. Alright, so we got a few things for the layout setup as well. It's just how the shop is gonna look, and also where we're gonna have our money. I'm probably gonna have them up here. If not, I might have them down here, just at the side of the shop, in a little box here, probably. Yeah. Otherwise, I think this looks kind of cool actually. And yeah, alright, to the next step. I want these things, these cells, to actually have an image. So, alright, I want these to have an image. There we go. I want these to have an image. Like, I want these to be textured. I want these to have its own like texture. Now, remember what the button size is, and let's just take it divided by 2 to get a 4 pixel, or each 4 pixels in the game is 1 pixel, just to get it a little pixely still. That means it's gonna be 26 again, actually. So, just gonna create a new one. I'm gonna call this cell 26 times 26. It's gonna be a normal shop cell. We're gonna have these cells for other things if we need to use them for something else than just a shop. And in order to create the cell, we probably want to go with full opacity. Want to drag a little line around the whole thing here, and then we can actually on a new layer here. This is what we're gonna use to add transparency in a second. So we're gonna do this. Oh yeah. I want to have this go like this. Give it a little effect, like it's actually going like upwards a little. Splitting the edges like that. And then we are going for a fill. I'm gonna go with a light, a little bit lighter color. Just fill the whole thing in. And then we're gonna drag down the opacity of this to maybe 50%. Yeah, that actually seems quite good. 50%. Do a save. And do cell.png. Alright, save it. Go back in here and load it up. I'm gonna do a new image scheme. Public static image. We're gonna call this title set res equals new image, and we're just gonna do 100 for that. We don't need to use up all of them, but tile set res 0 equals new image icon res cell.png to get image. We got that image now, and now we can just use it here in the store instead of actually having to do. We don't need to do any loops or anything because this is just a single image, and we can just like import all our single images in that tile set. Actually, we might need to do another screen set or tile set for the enemies in the next tutorial, but we're going to do screen.tileset res 0, and at the end just going to do null. And whenever we run this now, these should be textured. As you can see, they now have textures. Now there is an opacity to this, so whatever we put underneath them, it will just like use as light through. And this is also making us able to just, it's like we just need to add something more. We need to take a frame object, frame from the frame here, and we just want to do this. And because we want to add the mouse motion listener as well, so frame.add key listener, new key handle, and then frame.add mouse motion listener, new key handle, because that method extends the key listener. Wait. Add mouse listener. Alright. Because this key handle extends these different things. That means we can use it for mouse motion listening and mouse listening. So basically we're just using the key handle as a default for these both things. And I wanted to, when on mouse over, I want these little things to light up. So if if button, god damn it, I'm gonna do this in the for loop. I'm gonna check if button i.contains screen.mse. If it contains the mouse, if the button contains the mouse, it's gonna draw, or it's gonna fill a rect on x, y, width, and height. But it's gonna be lazy. I'm gonna copy all of this. Of course, me being lazy is not a very big surprise. We also want to set the color before doing it. It's gonna be a new color, and it's actually gonna be a transparent color. So it's gonna be like it's not gonna be fully white. It's gonna be like 150 of transparency. Now that is a little bit wrong. It's not up here, but it seems like the x coordinate. All right. Seems like I put them in the wrong directions. All right. We're just gonna fix that. minus. Yeah, that seems to work. So now we have these here on mouse over. So you can have a mouse over effect. If we don't want them to light up that much, we can actually drag this down 1000. It only goes to 255 because it's still RGB. Yeah, this is actually better, I think. So that's actually gonna be it for this tutorial. I think. Actually, we can just go on for 15 minutes doing random things. We might, yeah, we might import the enemy sheet. No, we're just gonna wait for that till the next tutorial. It's just gonna be imported in exactly the same way as everything else have been imported. Actually, I might do one change to the cell. That's actually in the cell here. I'm gonna do it like this. PNG cell. Okay, okay. All right, there you go. Now it's just a little better looking outline, and you can also add a 2 pixel out border to this if you'd like to. I think you can just do -1 here and +1 here and +1 here. I'm just gonna keep it as this actually. What else? Everything looks very good. Everything seems to be kind of sorted out. We've got a save importing system, and I might as well explain the save for you real quick before actually leaving. So what this basically does is this basically takes a new file which is called load path, which we're typing in from where we want to load up our file, and this we're doing that in the screen, I believe, somewhere in the define method. We're just loading up mission1.ulixava from the save. All right. So then we're basically creating a new scanner that can scan. Can basically scan for the file and scan through a file, and we're scanning through the file load path. And while the load scanner finds new things, like first it goes here, and if it has .has next, .has next, .has next, and we'll just keep looping until it doesn't find anything more. We are doing this, but we're just doing everything at once. So each time we actually use load scanner.nextInt, it will just do a little jump in this, even if it's even if the load scanner that has next will basically just go on forever otherwise. So it does the same thing first with the ground, because the ground is on the top, and then the air is down here because it does that, and it does that on the second thing. We're probably gonna do some more stuff with the save files later, like import some health and maybe a special shop for each one of these. But that's basically how it all works. I'm actually gonna end this tutorial now. But thank you guys for watching the first episode of the new and better tower defense game in Java, how to create it. I'm rather happy if you subscribe to my channel. That means I'm gonna make more of these. And I know that you guys have been waiting so long for this, and finally it's here. Finally! Oh my god, that just sounded like a kid saying it. Cool. Yeah. Anyway, thank you guys for watching this tutorial, and I will be back soon with more Java tutorials, and I will keep doing my developments and stuff like that as well. I'm going to try uploading 3 Java tutorials a week. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time. Don't forget to subscribe.